Hey, welcome to the Beyond the Business podcast. We got Shayan with us in the house today. He's a lead gen educational email funnels high ticket coach that I met on LinkedIn. He's just been killing it. He's 12% in Canada. He's going to introduce himself. We're going to dive right into the show.
Hey, Braden, thank you so much for inviting me onto the podcast. So I'm a top 12% LinkedIn content creator on Favicon in Canada. And my business is basically I go find high-ticket consultants and coaches, and I help them monetize their social media audiences by executing giveaways and then turning that top of funnel traffic into bottom of funnel traffic that we can nurture into hopefully paying clients.
100%. How long have you been doing that?
So I've been doing that for about 5 months now. I started off as a ghostwriter, didn't have much success with it, didn't enjoy it. So I moved on to marketing funnels, which aligned with my university program, and it aligned with what I know most about, which is human psychology. So I figured, okay, this is something I really enjoy doing. So why not capitalize on that?
I love that. Diving into the show is divided into 3 sections. First, we have a short question section, a long question, and then millionaire insight. This is your insight from your life, from this. Going to the short question section, though, I got 23 AI-generated questions. I want you to choose 3 numbers.
Awesome.
So just choose 3 numbers, 1 to 23.
7.
Okay.
9.
Okay.
21.
Perfect. So what role does innovation play in what you do?
I think it plays a big role, and it's important to be able to take what's already been done and put your own spin on it. You know, we're in a place where unless you have very high coding skills or very high back-end development skills, you're not going to create some sort of magical email sequence or some sort of magical design software. So you have to be able to put your artistic mind to what's already out there. And from there, it's important because you can tailor that customization to your client's needs or to your personal needs and kind of showcase your personality through your customizations when you go post everything online.
I love that. Question 9. What are your thoughts on the intersection of technology and high-ticket coaching?
I think that it's becoming more important than ever because in the past, it was a lot of cold calling through phone calls or word of mouth marketing. But now that you have social media, now that you have platforms like X or LinkedIn or Instagram, it's way easier to make your personal brand. And when it comes to making your personal brand, people who've been on social media long enough know that at a certain point, creating content, scheduling content, plugging everything else in, such as your retweets or plugging your newsletter and product links in, can become extremely runty to the point where it's taking up 4 to 6 hours of your day. So when it comes to the intersection of technology and high-ticket coaching, I think automation software is what's helping high-ticket coaches the most, simply because of how much easier it makes it for them to build their personal brands and saves them the time which they can spend on working with their clients.
Love that. And then how do you think your field can contribute to solving global challenges?
I think that in the long run, my career can help solve global challenges in the sense that we're in a time and era where education has never been easier. And this is actually one of my long-term goals, where I plan on, once I have enough of an audience, so maybe in 4 or 5 years, to productize my knowledge for low-ticket, mid-ticket, high-ticket offers, which I can use to educate the newer generation of entrepreneurs who may not want to go to college or who may not want to get a traditional job after college. And currently, at least in Canada, the job market is dead. And for the past 8 years, it's been very up and down, and it's been very variable. So I want to be able to provide, or at least be an inspiration that, hey, you don't have to be stuck to this one traditional route. You have multiple other pathways. So if I can help people understand that and hopefully inspire them to take action on their own, then to me, that would be the ultimate victory.
I love that. I love that. Diving into long question section, I feel like I've seen that as well. Not
Mhm.
the job market's dead, even though the job market is super volatile here in America as well.
Yeah.
But it's the idea that entrepreneurship is an option.
Mhm.
Like a lot of people, maybe not a lot of people, but there's a lot of people out there that are like, oh, only certain people are born entrepreneurs. Only certain people can be entrepreneurs. But as I done this podcast, I've seen different people become entrepreneurs for different reasons, and different people that you wouldn't feel like would be entrepreneurs that are entrepreneurs.
Yep. I totally agree with what you're saying, because I think that talent does come natural and entrepreneurship is a talent, but hard work will always beat talent when talent doesn't work. And I'm a strong believer of that saying.
I love that. I love that. What was your route into entrepreneurship?
My route into entrepreneurship was that I started off with university. I'm currently in university. I'm studying marketing and psychology. But around my third year, I started realizing that people around me are working their butts off to kind of land internships. And they're facing 100, 150 rejections before they land their first interview. So it kind of made me realize I've heard similar things about entrepreneurship, where you're going to basically fail a lot before you even succeed. So it got me thinking even more, why do I have to fail for someone else's dream? Why should I get a job where I'm working 40, 45 hours, if you consider overtime, to help someone else achieve their dream, to help someone else go on vacation? So I figured, I'm willing to fail 200 times if that means I get one success. And so in November, I started taking these courses on digital marketing, social media marketing, and project management. After completing those courses and actually receiving those certifications, I went on to LinkedIn, where I found all this content stuff, and I just got into it. I was like, you know what? I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just going to take action, and then one day it's all going to make sense. And over the past 2 months or so, everything's been falling into place. Everything's making sense. And it's kind of like, okay, I kind of have a better direction of where I'm headed. So I'm just going to keep walking, keep taking action.
And did those courses like help, or were they just like different? The courses were different than the reality.
I think that courses definitely help, because you could either try to figure it out all on your own, in which case you will fail 1,000 times before one success, sorry. Or you take a course, which I like to call investing in yourself, and you find out the 800 ways that don't work, so that now you only fail 200 times before you succeed. So it's kind of like cutting down the time of experimentation.
I love that. I love that. I feel like, I don't know if you've seen this as well. A lot of college kids are just waiting till they graduate to start living their life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you should be living your life now. Your life is going on now.
Yeah.
So what made you want to do life now and not just wait? Was the question.
For me, I kind of struggled in university, not academically, but just socially.
Mm-hmm.
I had friends. I had all of these friend groups. I was invited to frat parties and all that stuff, but it never felt like a fulfilling life, because I used to go out every weekend, and then Saturday night, had a great time. Sunday morning, I'm like, okay, I don't remember Saturday night. So after that, it was like, it's just not fun. It's fun on the superficial, shallow level, but I just wasn't finding any fulfillment. So I figured it's time to make a change. And in the summer of May 2023, I started doing Muay Thai. And after I started doing Muay Thai, I realized that if I want to do the sport, I can't be going out and getting intoxicated every night, or going out and partying every night, because the next morning I have to go for a 5K run and have a sparring session. So what started with Muay Thai slowly translated into my regular life, which is now content, which is, hey, I can't go out on Saturday night because Sunday morning I have a ghostwriting interview. So I have to be there, present, and I have to look presentable for that interview. And so that's kind of why I started doing this so early, because it just gives me internal happiness.
100%, 100%. I have a post from you. I don't know if you remember this post, but it says, in January 2023, spent $200 on weed, volunteered to create basketball scouting reports, confused about what they do in life, had no purpose.
Mm-hmm.
I remember thinking, is this all life is going to be? Aimless and addicted. And then
Yeah.
just fast forward to now, June 2024, building my dream business, filling up my pipeline calendar, chatting with coaches and CEOs every day, but we're delivering value.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like the fast transition, but obviously it's also a slow transition, right?
Yeah.
Because it's 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of people, what would you say to people that feel that what you said before? Aimless, lost, confused about life.
That's exactly, like, as you say those words right now, I can recall those emotions.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I felt. So I used to think basketball was everything for me. My initial dream was to become a basketball coach. But again, doing those things where going out all the time, getting high with your friends all the time, it was like, okay, now I'm creating a basketball scout and I'm spending 8 hours watching film on opposing teams that we're going to play next week to put together an 11-minute video of who does what defense does what offense does what. And I was like, I'm not having any fun doing this. I've lost my love for the sport. And when I lost my love for basketball, I was like, is this what life is going to be? It's just going to be empty. There's going to be zero happiness. And so I started taking action every single day. I'm starting with Muay Thai, of course. And what people think of like 1.5 years as a fast transition, from the outside world, yes, I agree. It seems like it was very quick. But for someone who lived it like myself, I can probably remember every single night I spent trying to change my life. Every single day I spent learning something new or making myself uncomfortable to become better. So the past 1.5 years for me feels like a century because of how much effort went into it. So if I were to tell anyone else who feels aimless right now, I would say that start with one step and then never stop walking.
I love that. And what are some tangible steps for the listeners? So I know the course was one, social media was one, and like Snapchat and stuff. Probably 10 years friend group was one, or just spending less time with them.
Mm-hmm. So the tangible steps that I would say, and this is biased because I'm 100% a writer.
Yeah.
I would say take a journal and create 3 lists. Create a list of things in your life that hold you back from achieving your full potential. Create a list of things in your life that you need to start doing in order to achieve that potential. And then create a list where you're dreaming freely, no limits to your imagination, of what you want your life to look like in exactly 3 years. And that will kind of help you find clarity in your next step. So, for example, in my case, what was holding me back was partying. What I needed to do to get out of partying was to find a sport because historically sports has always kept me grounded. And what my ideal life looked like in 3 years, the first thing that came to my mind was sober and athletic, physically.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what directed me towards sports again. And Muay Thai was just a gym that was very nearby. So I was like, let's give it a shot.
I love that. I love that. You being a writer, I know you chose writing, you chose high coaching, but there's a lot of different niches. How did you come to that niche?
So I came to high ticket coaching because I myself have been a high ticket coach before. I used to coach one-on-one personal training. This is back in 2020, early 2020, right before COVID started. And so I figured, okay, I know a lot about fitness. I know a lot about productivity, and I know how coaches operate. So if this is something I know most about, and writing and marketing funnels is something I know most about, if I combine them, I can create a product that caters to the needs of these coaches. And the reason it works so well is because when these coaches find out what I've done, they kind of put their trust in me, like, okay, I don't have to micromanage everything. I don't have to give him information at 1 a.m. if he texts me about a certain coaching process, or if he texts me about a certain workout routine, because this guy can just figure it out himself.
Mm-hmm.
So it just makes the process a whole lot easier.
100%. I feel like what's it called? When it comes to business, right? There's like basically two options, right? You can either start with ground zero and try to figure out the industry that you're trying to look into,
Mhm.
or you can try to use what you're already doing or your background in and create an industry. I found it's easier to go where you already have a foundation.
Yeah,
And that's like,
definitely.
oh, this is where I think the money is, but I have no background in.
Hmm.
At least starting out.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I got caught in that trap too. My first venture, or not my first, but one of my first ventures was a marketing agency, Facebook ads.
Yeah.
And my mentor kept telling me, he was like, you need to do solar. You need to do solar or real estate. That's where money is. And I remember reaching out to clients and they would ask me questions and I was like, I don't know. I don't know anything about this. And they would just hop off a sales call. So I went to my mentor. I was like, dude, I don't know anything about these industries. And my mentor actually got mad at me and he was like, okay, I don't want to mentor you anymore. So I was like, okay, now I'm stuck. But then I went out and got another mentor who is a high ticket coach. And he's guiding me now on how to basically run my business and scale up because he's already scaled up.
Mm-hmm. Do you think losing that mentor was a necessary step in your growth?
I would say so, yes. And the reason I'd say it is because A, it moved me away from Facebook ads, which was, to be honest, a runty task.
Mm-hmm.
And it brought me closer to writing. And also, it kind of helped me shift my perspective from, hey, I want money right now, to, hey, I want to do something I enjoy every single day. And I'm a fitness fanatic. So there's no amount of there's no amount of work in the fitness industry that could ever bore me. So I was like, okay, this is good things are happening now.
100%, 100%. I feel like once you're living that long term, just doing something every day, building your brand, that it's more, at least in my stage and like what I'm doing right now, it's more rewarding
Yeah, definitely.
because you're living more of a life of purpose. I feel like.
Hmm. I love that word, man.
We're gonna. I only have a couple last questions, and then we can wrap up the show. I feel like we can talk a little about social media, right?
Hmm.
And we talked a lot about social media currently, but how do you deal with like obviously you're making content, right? You're like putting stuff out, you're trying to build a personal brand. There's setbacks, there's falls, there's like things that don't work out. How are
Hmm.
you dealing with that?
So this is something that it traces entirely back to mindset training. And what you said earlier about how not everyone can be an entrepreneur, this is where that mindset comes in. Because when you go the traditional route, you kind of have that security. Like, okay, I might mess up, but I'm not necessarily going to get fired. In entrepreneurship, if you mess up and you don't deliver for your client who paid you in my case, $5,000 for the project, then your entire brand name starts to diminish and your reputation starts to kind of go to trash. And you have to understand that there will be moments in your journey, and I'm facing them at the moment, I've faced them already, where you face setbacks that make it feel like it's the end of the world. But then you have to zoom out. And when you zoom out, you kind of realize, like, hey, the entire trajectory is upwards. And the entire past 6 months have been up and down. But if I were to put a slope on it, it's going from 0 to 100. So when you do zoom out, you realize that whatever you're facing at that moment, like for example, if your content just flops for an entire week, that's just another downward pitfall in that up and down graph. And when you develop that mindset that, hey, look at the bigger picture, this is nothing, that kind of helps you continue playing the long term game,
Mm-hmm.
kind of helps you continue working. Because at the end of the day, if you stop working, you lose momentum. And when you lose momentum, that's when the graph itself starts going down, right?
Yeah.
But as long as momentum's there, you're good.
Um, Back when I was in the insurance industry, we had a quote, and it says, "Momentum is jealous."
Mhm.
So once you have it, you got to hold on to it, or go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And I found with that momentum, with that setbacks, you talk about, hey, as long as it's like the trajectory, that's okay. There's a pivot, a pivot, a pivot, a pivot. But in order to do that, you got to be running high enough numbers.
Mhm.
You can't just one day, oh, social media's not working. But how you know it's working is just like, hey, I'm doing it every day. I'm doing this that I know is going to lead to the results that I want.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yeah, I definitely agree because, like you said, results lie in consistent and directed action.
And then, obviously, entrepreneurship, you have to embrace uncertainty.
Oh, yeah.
how,
feel like
how have you been able to embrace that uncertainty?
I kind of just accepted that no one really knows what they're doing because I might be at stage 5 going to stage 6 and I have no idea what stage 6 holds. But the biggest creator out there, I'm going to say Dan Coe, he might be at stage 85, but he has no idea what stage 86 holds. So everyone's facing with imposter syndrome and everyone is facing some level of uncertainty. And then I take inspiration from that. Like, hey, this guy had no idea what he was doing and he managed to end up where he is right now at the very top. I can do it too. Why can't I? Right? So that mentality is what allows me to continue walking through the darkness, basically.
I love that. I love that. And then when it comes to what they call young people and building a personal brand,
Mm-hmm.
is that something that you recommend for entrepreneurs? Is it something you recommend for everyone? How would you go about it?
I recommend personal branding to anyone who has the ability to make an impact in this world. So that could be someone who has no business, who has no job, but he's lived a story that everyone can relate to. For example, if a homeless man worked his butt off, defied every single odd to find himself, let's say, low cost housing, right?
Mm-hmm.
To him, that's a major upgrade. But to the rest of the world, that's an inspirational story that, hey, this guy did not let anything hold him back. But he went out and made his life the best he possibly could in his situation. So, what I'm trying to say is that if you have a story that you can use to inspire people to take action, then you have a place in the world of personal branding as well.
As long as you share your story, I feel
Yeah.
like personal branding is becoming, like, obviously, you were talking about technology and your story and your voice. If you focus on just AI instead of your voice and your personality and your story, that's not going to turn out. And you're not going to have the impact that you want, I feel.
Yeah, because I've tried writing content with AI, and AI content 9 out of 10 times does not perform as well.
Mm-hmm.
And you can train your AI to the max of its abilities. Like, hey, I want these emotional phrases. Yeah, all that stuff. But even then, it doesn't mimic what you write from your heart. Because when you write from your heart, inevitably, you include anecdotes and phrases that you use in your daily life. And it's crazy scary how many people can pick up on that. Because I've been writing for about 8 months now. And when I see AI posts, I can normally just sense it. And usually I'm correct. Not always, but usually I'm correct.
Yeah. So you're tricking some people, but you're not tricking the ones that actually matter.
Sorry?
So you're tricking some people, but you're not tricking the people that actually matter.
Yeah. And by some people, it's like I'm not chirping them in the sense that, like, hey, stop doing this. It's more like, hey, you have a better route available that's going to make the world better for everyone.
Mm.
Like, you can keep doing what you do if it brings you success. If you're getting likes and views, keep doing what you do. But just understand that you're kind of not being honest with yourself and you're not being transparent with the entire world that's following you because they think these are coming from your heart.
100%, 100%. Do you have any last thoughts or anything else you want to share on the show?
I just want to share something for anyone that's thinking about going into entrepreneurship. And what I'd like to say is that, yes, you have your traditional routes of university and high school. I'm not saying don't go to those. I'm actually saying do go to those. Because when you're in university and high school, you meet, I'm going to say, a plethora of different types of people. And that's important for you because as you go in this world, you need to understand how to deal with different types of people and how to interact with them. So definitely go to those institutional education facilities. But understand that whatever you learn academically, if you're able to take that information and that knowledge and implement it by yourself on your own time in stuff that you love in an industry that you love, that's your route into entrepreneurship. This is where people struggle with, right? Like, how do I get into it? You get into it by taking everything you're absorbing on a daily basis and applying it in the industry that you enjoy most. Mm. And I'll give a personal example to kind of put the cherry on top. I've been studying marketing for 3.5 years now. Every time we do marketing, we talk about big companies, and my professor's favorite example is Coca-Cola. And we talk about how Coca-Cola sells to their consumers. And I'm sitting there thinking, I hate big marketing. I hate big finance. I hate large corporations. I find no enjoyment in studying any of these. But you taught me some crazy, useful concepts about consumer behavior and how to analyze consumer insights. Now, what do I like? I like fitness. So I'm going to take everything you taught me and separate it from the Coca-Cola example that you're using to kind of teach us this. I'm going to apply that information into fitness and marketing. So now I'm on Instagram Reels scrolling, and I see people posting fitness reels, and I see people kind of making their brands online. And I'm realizing, hey, this guy has 1 million followers, but he's doing this thing very well. So let me take a quick note about that. And then I scroll and I'm like, oh, this guy only has 10,000 followers. When I look at the guy with 10,000 followers and 1 million followers, I see that the guy with 10,000 followers is not putting as much authenticity or emotion into it. So consumers don't like it. So I start taking that and I'm like, okay, I'm going to start taking notes about this. So when I go out and help high ticket coaches in the fitness industry, I can kind of guide them on what to do better. So at the end of the day, you take the information, apply it to your industry by yourself. You fail like 200 times before you succeed. And that's how you get into entrepreneurship. And in doing that, you build that resilient mindset that you need to embrace uncertainty. And that resilient mindset you need to kind of embrace setbacks and continue looking at the bigger picture.
I love that, Shayan. Thank you for hopping on the call. Thank you for your insight. I love your emotion and realness and everything you brought to the show today. Before we end, we're going to the millionaire secret, right? This is the insight from your life. It's anything that you have on your mind. But before we get into that, where can people find you?
So I'm on LinkedIn. I think my username is just Shayan Rashid. And I'm also on X, which I started about 4 weeks ago. And it's just Shayan1018.
Love that. Love that. So, into millionaire's insight, what would yours be?
In one sentence?
One sentence or two?
I would say in entrepreneurship, comparison to others is a thief of joy, but comparison to who you were yesterday sets the foundation for you to do better today.
Thank you for hopping on the show. Thank you for that.